Hey Robert, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am good. It is a pleasure to be speaking to you, dude. I am a big
Thank
fan
you.
of
I
your
appreciate it.
films.
Thank you for your
And
time. Yeah, of
yeah,
course.
yeah, no worries. I particularly love The Argument. It was one of my favorite films during the
I'm so
pandemic.
happy to hear that. I want to re-release the argument because it was like 2020. It was September 2020. It's just like I feel like I love that. I love the argument. I love the script. I love the actors in it. I'm so happy you shouted that out because I just it's cool if people see it. So
Yeah, no, totally, absolutely underrated film. So if you do re-release it, I would totally be down to rewatch it because it's really
thank you.
great. But
Great.
we're here talking about The Good Half, which I also really enjoyed.
Thank
Uh,
you.
and I don't know. For me, it felt really personal, especially with having cast Nick Jonas, who's also a musician and an actor, right, and a creative individual overall like
Yeah.
yourself, dealing with grief. So aside from that parallel, was there any other like personal parallel? Like, is this inspired by some sort of personal tragedy?
Yeah, it's you know, the script was written by Brett Ryland, and he had an experience losing his mother to cancer and having to go back to Cleveland and try to figure out, is he going to focus on is he going to chase his own sort of passion of writing, and what's it going to be like not having that sort of the backbone of his life there, um, having to kind of figure out how to deal with it with his family. There were elements of it that he had experienced that I think helped kind of him jump off into getting the script on its feet. And he's also writing, he's writing a film, and it's an experience that we're going to hopefully, from his perspective, we're going to make this movie and it's going to be seen with audiences. So you have to think about how you're shaping the story to work for the screen. But yeah, so no, I was really lucky enough to be someone that received the script as to consider to come on and direct it. And it was a really on the page. It was like a well crafted, very charming, very heartwarming, emotional and funny and well crafted film with great characters. For me, it resonated on another level because I had a similar experience as Brett. This funny it was that it was the same exact type of cancer that his mother went through that my dad went through. So I felt I could kind of get in the body of Renn in a way as I was reading it and relate to the confusion of it. I mean, grief is strange and never really stops in a way. When you go back and think about someone you've lost, it can kind of bring back all over again the feeling of the fact that the reality of this person's not here with you, but then you find in it the hope of the memories you share, and that's what these flashbacks represent for Renn is like these. If you look about the movie, he's remembering the good things that they had, right? The good half. He's not dwelling in the part of it that was the like the not pleasant experience of physical of the law of loss and what cancer does to you. He's trying to let those memories sort of fuel his positive thinking of how to overcome the emotion of loss. It's real. I mean, when I remember loss and my dad, I try to remember the good things, the happy things, the trips we took together, the things that were really amazing. And I think that's what we all need. It's like that's how you feel comforted. It's sort of like this positive thinking too. I mean, we can always worry and feel anxiety. Everyone has their own versions of stress and worrying and anxiety at different levels, but it's really us dwelling in the negative stuff or getting stuck in this sort of soupiness of like we're of oh my this isn't done yet, what's going to happen, they're going to hate me, I'm going to fail. It's the negative kind of thinking. But if we can think positively and optimistically and remember it's similar in that's always helped me with the grieving process, but making a movie about it is part of the therapy of it. And I think writing music has been a part of my life too for so long, writing about loss, longing. When I've had breakups, you feel a form of grief with like losing someone you love in a relationship, and you feel like I'm never going to get over it. It's similar to losing someone, like because they're no longer in your life in a way, even though you could physically call them if really they picked up the phone. So I would write music. That would fuel me to go write songs about it, and that would create this feeling of longing. And I would try to write a new story to flip my emotion to trick me into a new way of thinking about it. filmmaking's like that. It's creating, it's the same thing. So for Brett and I think we both connected to and share in the feeling of losing a parent. I was much younger than he was. It doesn't change really a thing other than our ability to process it as an adult and see it in a different way. So yeah, it was very personal for me. And I think that's no question. I didn't just read a script and go, oh, this is really funny. I read a script that hit home for me on an emotional level. And I wanted to jump in and take on this material.
Yeah, shout out to Rooney, by the way. Just gotta
Thank
say
you.
that.
Appreciate that.
'Cause,
Thank you so much.
yeah. No, because you mentioned your musical background. The one thing in the film that early on that I did not understand, but then immediately it clicked for me was the back and forth of it all. How it's edited so smoothly that in one like in the beginning, it's very clear that his mother's not there, right? That's I think that's like the first thing said in the film, she's gone. Or the first thing that we hear Nick Jonas hear over the phone. And then later on, he's walking somewhere and he sees her. And I'm like, wait, I thought she was gone. And then it hit me. It's like we're in his head, and these are things that like it, if anything, I thought that's like the most realistic experience of what it's like to kind of get stuck in a memory when you're in the present, and then you're like, wow, I remember this, I remember doing that in that place right in front of me. Like it worked so well, and I really did like that, and I really did appreciate it because um like I said, it's done so smoothly
Yeah.
that you need to like it, that just for it to finally click, it really hits like an emotional chord, I guess, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. But
No, that's a great. I'm happy to hear that because I think we used when you tell a story in two time period, like if it's present day and then some kind of flashback, the trick is like how do you get into the past or back in a way that's like effective where the audience feels like we just took you back and you're not kind of confused where I am. That was that was a challenge because Ren's memories of his mom, like there's one flashback that's really his perspective. It's a POV flashback. It's when he opens the door to the bathroom and she's like kind of getting ready. And that's like a young Renn. We don't see Renn in that scene back then. We just see what he saw. So that could have taken place at different times in his life. But a lot of them are like, her loss was quick. Like cancer is quick. Like you can quickly go from getting treatment and just completely your body just cannot just stay with it. And it's that's what's so scary about it, I think. But his mother's this was a quick experience for him. So our flashbacks are not in they're recent. It's him having been with her at lunch a year ago, or it's having gone home to visit her on another trip, and the first time they sit at the table and talk about what she's going to go through with treatment. So that's what's challenging with a movie like this is like having to take you back to a recent flashback and what we get from that. And but yeah, it was all style wise, it was these trying to create these match cut moments which where you can cut from a look to a point in time in the past or a line. You notice we sometimes carried lines over from a different scene into present day. So he's sitting on the bed and he looks towards the camera and he answers his dad's question in present time, but it's a flashback to then, and we cut back into the past. So it's like I love those kinds of ways. That was the fun for me, was having to design how we kind of get in and out of these flashbacks, because it's like that was the sort of challenge of making this movie, was how do we kind of create this world that and storytelling style that feels effective.
and once again, I think you did it really well with this movie. Like you and
Thank you.
your
Thank
editor, everybody. I thought it really came together very well, and it created like
you.
that emotional gut punch. Um, in regards to the actors, you spoke about Nick Jonas earlier. This film features Elisabeth Shue, right? Matt Walsh, like really fun actors. David Arquette doing like kind of against the grain of what you normally see them in. And so I wanted to know, like, what was there any key in particular to commanding those performances out of them, or was that something that they just came aboard open to challenging themselves to do?
If you look at the process of casting, if we break it down, so, there's a screenplay, and by the time an actor gets the script, there's a director typically. And then you start to have some kind of idea of where you're shooting it, when you're shooting it, the budget level. There's all these other little elements that play a part in like an actor's decision for taking on a role. And then obviously there's the material. And I'm sure everyone has their own reason for taking a film or saying yes or no, but I think all these things sort of have to work for somebody to say yes. And it's about timing too, availability. But so there was something in the material that, stuck out to David and Matt and Brittany and everybody to like say yes in these characters. And I think, and then, usually I would have a meeting with the actor and like talk about my vision for it or my approach, what I hope we would all get out of, like the experience of making this film. And it's hopefully like that conversation that inspires the cast to feel even more excited about it. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's like, I like when an actor you might not think of for a certain role is in the film because it's different. It kind of changes a little bit of our perception as an audience. It's unexpected. And I think that we need to find ways to give audiences something a little bit outside like their comfort zone. It's probably like less appealing if an actor is doing something exactly what we know them to do every time, unless it's maybe like an action movie, because you're kind of maybe like physically, like certain actors can really pull off a character and bring it and make it feel like bring it to life effectively. But yeah, I mean, I think David, I haven't really seen, like, I can't think of movies I can exactly point to where like, oh, David Arquette did like this in this movie, or Brittany Snow was just like this. I feel like they all did something different for what their work has been previously. And I think that's really exciting. And I think they were excited to play these characters. And I love, Brittany has she's great and she's able to play off everyone so effectively and be closed off in a way that helps a scene work emotionally for these other characters, for her character, where she starts and where she ends. Her ability to get, take you into like a scene where she is crying. She can do this on the spot. Like she's got such great flexibility as an actor. And same with Matt Walsh. A lot of times great comedic actors can be really great dramatic actors. And there's a scene we shot driving to the funeral, and it's all done without any sound or dialogue. It's just music playing. But I shot like Matt Walsh, and he was giving me such emotion. It was so amazing to see him do that because I've worked with him on the comedic level. But it was just like important to see him there as this caring, emotional father figure for Renn and his kids, trying to figure out what to do, how to be supportive. It's so real. These are such real things. Like, parents can't fight your fights for you, but they can help you, give you the tools to help you kind of figure out a way to be inspired, to help you get through it in your own way, to hopefully help you be a person that can be thoughtful and help you work through these things. And I think Matt Walsh's character is so lovingly on the fence of how do I help my kids and being available or not available. Everyone does it in their own way, and I think they really delivered. I think all the actors are awesome in this film, and I think Nick really stepped up and made this character come to life in a way that was really honest. And it's hard to do that. He's never had to sort of be the leading, everything's on my back kind of a character in a film. And I think this is going to open up the door for him to realize, and other filmmakers to realize, that Nick can take you on this type of a journey. It's not just he's playing a supporting character in Jumanji or playing this like tortured fighter in this MMA like Kingdom kind of show. He can do something that's comedic and heartfelt. He can be emotional and funny. He can wear these different hats. And I think that's an interesting, hopefully I'm happy that he's been able to do that in the film.
Very well said. And then on the subject of family, this is kind of like a side question, but something I'm dying to know myself. You come from like one of the greatest, dynasties of, cinema in the last century. For a film like this, or for any of your projects in general, do you get feedback, or do you look for feedback from any of your family members, whether it be like your brother or your uncle or anything like that? And I ask specifically about this film because it's so
Yeah, yeah.
centered about family.
Yeah, like I feel like I try to get the movie to a point where I feel like I've demonstrated to the best of my abilities what was in my head. Um, so that would be like sending a link around to get feedback. And it's not always like it's like there's some family thread where we just like send movies around. But I'll like, I try to like I get great satisfaction in like putting something together. And it's also, there's like sensitivity when it's like families, it's hard because it's like, yes, we're all working in the same sort of industry, or we are, and a lot of us are. I think like there's a sensitivity of like how you can talk about things together. It's not like very simple to just, it's like almost sometimes easier to talk to people that aren't in your family than are in your family. Because it comes with all these like sensitivities and mixed emotions and feeling of like what I mean by sensitivity is like I want so and so in my family who's like a director to like my movie. And if I send it to them and they're like, yeah, I enjoyed it, or I feel like maybe they didn't like really love it, I feel, like I failed, right? Like you feel like, oh God, the world's ending and your creative world is ending. So there's a sensitivity, and it's like someone might feel that too, if like even if their family's not in the industry and they, hey mom, like look what I made, and it's like, oh yeah, cool, like you don't really like it. That can hurt just as much as anything. You don't have to be in the same business. It's family. It's just there's sensitivity that comes with family. And if you're someone that like wants to please people, you're wanting them to like it or get validation from people around you. That could happen with just press too, like a review, a critic can really hit. A lot of creative people feel very sensitive to like reviews. They're not the part of their family, but like, there's sensitivity just hearing any criticism. When it comes from your family, it hits even harder, I think. But so yeah, it's not like it's everything is just amazing all the time when it comes to like a family dynamic in the same, even if it's same business. So you have to be very prepared when you go to someone in your like close to you, like with this. You're gonna have to like be prepared to like maybe not get the best response too. But yeah, like I also find a lot of the family members who are close to me or who work in the film industry understand what it's like to make a movie. So I think everyone comes at it with great sensitivity of like, I don't want to like crush this person's like process right now or crush your dreams. Like, I don't want to take the wind out of your sails. So I think sometimes the feedback can be almost like a strange like poem where you're having to like decipher what it is the note even is. Like, what are you even saying? Like, if only I could feel a sense of blah 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 in this character, that would help me. Okay, like okay, I have to figure now out what the heck that means. Is it the first act? Is it the scene? What scene felt the work? Like what took you out? Like whatever. It's like that's what's hard sometimes about family feedback. But I think, of course, when you strip it all back, it's really unusual to like all be a part of this same business. But there are families out there that all work in construction or all work in shipping or all work in fashion, or they're all journalists or they're all certain. Sometimes you find families that carry the torch or pass it on, and you get bit by the bug and you carry on that same industry. So it's not like unusual. It's just like we happen to be in the film industry. So and maybe what we do and our achievements in the industry then catch the attention of people, and then it creates curiosity. So, but yeah, we just have to figure out how to navigate it and get the, like hopefully it inspires us to want to keep pushing ourselves to be better.
Robert, we spoke about everything. We spoke about the film. We spoke about what it's about. We spoke about the acting. We spoke about your connection to it and family.
Covered it all.
Yeah, we covered it all. Once again, I really enjoyed it. That's all the time that I have for today. So I guess unless
Amazing.
there's any
Thank you.
last thing you want to say, I want to thank you for your time and I wish you the best of luck with this film.
Hey, my last thing is just to say thank you for watching it. Thank you for talking about it. And anyone out there, hope you get to check it out, and hope you enjoy it.
Thank you, Robert. Take
Thank
care.
you. Have a great day.